Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Welcome to another edition of My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, radio personality, Rita Monte, and along with student Zach Turkel. And our special guest today is Gina Lo Bello. She's Assistant Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Northwell. Gina is committed to Make-A-Wish, Metro and Western New York Advisory Board. The word wasn't coming out. Miss Lo Bello has a BS from State University of New York at Stony Brook and an MBA from New York University. Welcome, Gina Lo Bello. How are you today?
Oh, thank you, Rita. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
We're glad to have you. Zach and I are very glad to have you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
My hometown. So we're going to go with our first question because we have many questions for you, and it's going to be a great show. I know that it will.
Terrific.
I know. So you are Assistant Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Northwell Health. What does that title entail? What is it that you do every day?
Thanks. Actually, I'm responsible for the marketing and communications of our medical group at Northwell Health. Northwell Health has about 15,000 physicians who are able to treat patients within the walls of our hospitals. Keep in mind, Northwell Health had its start as North Shore LIJ some 20 years ago. North Shore University Hospital and Long Island Jewish Medical Center came together to start the beginnings of a health system. We're now 23 hospitals large, and we have over 450 medical offices across some 7 counties in this area. So there are about 15,000 physicians in this area who are able to treat patients and admit patients to our hospitals. But 3,000 of them are actually employed by Northwell Health. They get a paycheck from Northwell Health, and they're encouraged to meet certain standards of quality care, compassionate care. And I lead a team of marketing professionals who actually works with the physician leadership to make sure that all of those physicians get the communication that they need to do that.
Okay, that's great.
So something that really stood out to me, Gina, is that you're You're Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Northwell Health. But the weird thing is that I'm sure a lot of people never really realize that in a hospital there's really marketing. People don't think that. Have people come to you to say, why does marketing have to deal with a hospital?
Sure. So Assistant Vice President is my title. And actually, again, Northwell Health is actually a large health system, right? So there are 23 hospitals, 450 doctor offices. And I think, a lot of what we do in marketing of Northwell is actually communicating to the patients in the area, the consumers in the area, the different services that we provide, whether that be hospital services or medical services that someone could go to for general care. And there are actually over 100 different specialties within Northwell Health. So some as simple as a routine, if you will, as an internal medicine or obstetrics and gynecology, all the way to highly sophisticated nephrology care, cancer care, neurosurgery care. So people want to know about what services are in the area. So, knock on wood, they don't need them, but should they need them, we're there, and, we're very high quality. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a great question.
Yeah, and I have another second question. So you joined Northwell Health in 2012 after a successful career in the pharmaceutical industry. Now, what prompted you to make the change into Northwell Health?
That's a great question, Zach. I had worked at Pfizer for over 20 years and had a terrific career there. It was a fabulous company, and I really enjoyed my career there. About that time, that's when there was a lot of change happening in the healthcare industry industry we call the provider space, as opposed to, say, for instance, pharmaceuticals. And that's when the Affordable Care Act came out. And there was a lot of transformation happening in the provider side, as well as a lot of digital changes in the provider side with the introduction of electronic healthcare records. And at the later part of my career at Pfizer, I was involved in a lot of transformation activities, change management activities, and I found the provider side changes very, very intriguing. I had the start of my career on the provider side. I was trained as a respiratory therapist. I worked in that area as well as a cardiac cath technician before I joined pharmaceuticals. So I always had a passion for the provider side, tremendous respect for those that deliver care every day, whether it be physicians, nurses, other healthcare professionals. They do tremendous work, both intellectually in solving clinical problems, but their compassion, the emotions that they bring to treating patients during their most difficult times. It's really an honor to work with those folks every day.
Yeah.
It's incredible to work for a big pharmaceutical company like Pfizer. That's really incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a terrific organization. I really enjoyed my time. I was grateful for my time there.
So maybe you answered already a little bit part of this question that I'm going to ask you. You lead a team that drives awareness with medical groups to develop culture and standards of performance. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And what does that mean actually in English, right?
Exactly.
So as I mentioned, we're a very large medical group. We have over 3,000 physicians in our medical group. I think we're one of the largest in the country. And our physicians care for patients in the walls of hospitals and doctors' offices that you might go to for a checkup. You know, you may see our signs on different buildings. Northwell Health Physician Partners is the name of our medical group. So what I do is I actually work with the physician leadership of Northwell Health Physician Partners, as well as the leadership in other parts of the larger Northwell Health organization. And they develop standards of quality care. They have a very large governance organization of physicians, all employed physicians, and they work with the health system to determine how are they going to define quality care? How are they going to define a positive patient experience? How are they going to track that their physicians are actually doing what we hope they're doing? And how do we continually improve, you know, what we say is the standard of compassionate care? And so they work and they make the decisions. There's a very strong governance, as I mentioned. It includes a board of governors, some 12 different committees, all with physicians around the entire health system. And we work with them to actually help them craft their communications and actually get the messaging out to the physicians in the larger Northwell Health community, and then also getting messaging out to the patients and consumers in the community. I say consumers because if they're not yet our patients, but what we hope they will be, we call them consumers, prospects, if you will, is the marketing term. But once someone is cared for by our physicians or nurses, we call them patients. So our community is a very large community, and we really are dedicated to making sure that we provide high quality, compassionate care to the community.
Just to know that over the past few years on how Northwell Health has become very huge in the medical industry, especially there are so many new buildings that are coming up that have the Northwell Health name on it. It's just really incredible, and how far it has been since, what, like 5 years since the merger?
I think it's more like 20. It's actually
years?
Been a few years now since,
since they changed the name, right?
Yes, since they changed the name. And we're actually the largest private employer in New York State. We have over 60,000 employees now.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm happy that and proud that Fortune Magazine has just named us one of the best places to work in healthcare today. So, that's really terrific.
And also, it's pretty amazing what goes on behind the scenes, if you could say that, right?
Yes, and it truly is an honor to work with these healthcare providers because you really see the compassion and the dedication to continually learn the best-in-class techniques and robotics, but also, connecting with the patients and their families during what's a tremendously difficult time for them. So I have such great respect for these healthcare providers to actually do both of those so well.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gina, I know you might have answered this question a little bit earlier, but you have been working with medical communities to achieve strategic goals and to meet the needs of healthcare organizations, physicians, customers, and patients. And I know you have explained this earlier. And would you do it even more in the future? Like, let's say, would you want to expand it in the future?
Yeah, I was raised in a family that said, if you have your health, you have everything.
Right.
And working in healthcare, I mentioned that I myself worked at the provider side early in my career as a respiratory therapist. I think I was about 19 at the time. And you really get a very good understanding of how fragile good health care is, or good health is, when you have that experience. Not only people who are impacted by disease, but also accidents. And, working as a young respiratory therapist, I saw people come into the emergency room. At the time, I worked at Huntington Hospital before it joined Northwell Health. That was some time ago. And I got a chance to see people who were in car accidents on their way to work and see their family come through the emergency room doors, and they had thought that they'd see their loved ones that night for dinner, and their loved ones were either not going to be with them anymore, or they would be very different. Their lives would be very different in that one moment. So when you're young, college age, and you see that experience routinely, it really makes an impression on you. So whether it be my career in pharma, my career at Northwell Health, or my dedication to Make-A-Wish, it really is, getting that appreciation for really being grateful every day for what you have, the good health of your loved ones, and doing what you can to help those who do not have those blessings to really every day become stronger, help them through their difficult time, because again, when you have your health, you have everything.
And I love how you mentioned that, Gina, that it in just like a second, it could be totally different, your family's lifestyle or health. It can change drastically, and that and it's really true.
Yeah. So, looking at my involvement in Make-A-Wish, I'm mother of twins. I have two boys. They're now 25. And when they went off to college, it was kind of like cold turkey, right? And my husband and I were, two career parents. We were, if you will, helicopter parents. I'm sure my kids would tell you that. We were very active in their sports. One son played soccer, baseball. The other was part of Manhasset crew. And when they went off to college, I had a lot of free time. And that's when I looked into Make-A-Wish and, getting more involved in Make-A-Wish and making a difference in that area when I did have some free time.
And before we're about to go to the break, I just want to mention, if anyone's listening, because they're probably listening and they say, oh, this is so great, I would love to talk to Gina. Do you have any contact information that anyone can email you about?
Sure. Folks could contact me at globello@northwell.edu.
Alrighty, and we'll give that later on in the show.
That's great. So we're going to take a short break from my hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, WHPC 90.3. We've been talking with Gina Lo Bello, Assistant Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Northwell Health. And she's a dedicated member of Make-A-Wish Foundation in the Metro and Western New York area. Stay with us, because we're going to talk to Gina about the Make-A-Wish coming up next. And we will be right back.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger.